Time to officially get the racing underway this season, as here is your grid for Heat 1, Senior Rotax A and B. Let's have a look at the starting grid. Fastest and overall qualifying combined last night. Mitch Haynett will start from pole position. Vic Stevens will be alongside on the front row. Julian Klausmann and Juri Schoens will run at row 2, with Vincent van Kerkhoffen and Wout Kirstens completing the top 3 rows. Then it's Robbie Studder and Ralph van der Pavert, with Felipe Falk and Sebastian Koch rounding out the top 10. Lawrence Herbols and David Outleichner, row 6. Row 7, Ruben Verheyen and Ollie Jonkers, with Dylan Visser and Luca Brima rounding out row 8. Milan Koch and Benjamin Van Hees, row 9. Completing the top 20, Nico van der Pavert and Bram Plomp, with Tai Cho Ming, Dante Sima, Wouter Polle, Dean Winters, Martin Herrera, Jake Riches, Stain Peters, Dominic Shepers, Simon Peer, Martin Geiskens, Kaz Boshouse, Scott Westhovens, Devian Rost, Gwen Blogzil and Neil Hendricks round out the 35-strong grid. Hendricks excluded post-qualifying yesterday evening, as the 326 was found to be underweight. Ollie Jonkers actually got a three-place grid penalty due to the fact of not respecting yellow flags out on circuit. So the drivers now on their formation lap as the red lights are ignited on the starting gantry for the first of multiple races. It's going to be 10 minutes plus 2 laps of this 1,360 metre, 12-turn anti-clockwise circuit. Now, the weather has been changeable, to say the very least, especially early, just after lunchtime yesterday, when the heavens quite literally gave us a nigh-on torrential downpour. But there is still going to be some possibilities of drivers getting caught out by slight saturation on the circuit as we get ready and revved up to go racing. The drivers now start to make their way out of the final corner. So here we go. Revs rise, lights are on, lights are not going out. That's the first full start of the year. Everyone now acknowledging that they've got to go around for another formation lap. So the full start flag, the green flag with the yellow chevron, the V in it, indicating the first full start of the season. The drivers will go back around the circuit to get themselves back into it. So, of course, our race director not happy with the formation. There were quite a few stragglers at the back of the field, and trying to get the best part of close to 18 rows of drivers into the same formation is never easy, but it's always down to the front row to control how proceedings will then start here in Rotax competition. So the drivers now make their way through turn 10 at Cafe Corner, weaving from side to side, just checking the steering's all good to go. So 35 drivers set to compete over the next 10 minutes, plus an additional couple of laps. We'll then decide who will be putting their best foot forward. So Haynett and Stevens line up alongside each other. That's a tighter formation this time. Looks like we're good and ready to go as they come out of the final corner into the tram lines. Revs rise. Lights are on. Lights are out. We're underway. The season gets going right now. Someone at the back end of the field has gone a little bit sideways down the start-finish straight, as already everyone's just trying to get through that first couple of corners here at Genk. A couple of drivers using the runoff area. It's 4 wide. There's been a bit of a tangle, and one's gone completely around. 3, 4, 5 has just taken a turn around. That was Devian Rust, who made up a couple of positions at the very least through the first couple of corners as the field fans its way through turn 6 onto the Europlan. More dramas, and that's the 336 that has just gone around 2. Simon Peer from Belgium, as the field now makes its way through turn 9. So Mitch Haynert leading. Second is the 3.73 of Julian Kloosman. Vincent van Kerkhoffen in the 3.83 rounds out the top three as they come round to complete the opening lap. So a couple of drivers coming into dramas early doors, as Haynert has a lead of just under 0.4 of a second ahead of Kloosman. Van Kerkhoffen, Stevens, Schoens, Stordeur, Falk, Outlechner up 4 positions. Milan Kok has springboarded up the order from 17th to 9th, a gain of 8 positions. Jake Riches has also rocketed up the order. We've got one kart going very, very slowly through out of turn number 11 and could be heading down into pit lane. And that's a left rear flat tyre. That is the... that's Walter Polle. Yep, left rear is completely flat. Bent back axle for Devian Ross, the CRG chassis. Kangaroo hopping. Change for the lead through into turn 10. Julian Kloosman getting through on Mitch Haynert. And there is a bit of a freight train behind. Vincent van Kerkhoffen has lost out. Third place as lap 2 is now completed. Vic Stevens now is in third. Robbie Stordeur is now up to 5th, ahead of Felipe Falk. And then there is the absolute freight train coming through. There's Jori Schoens trying to get stuck in. Currently P7 at the moment, going through into turn 2. It was 3 wide coming out of the exit of the corner, as Kloosman leads Haynert going on to turn 6 at the Europolaan. So Walter Polle and Devian Rost out. One with a puncture, one with a bent back axle. And with these heats, they're very, very crucial. The higher up you are in the finishing order, once everything's been confirmed, the better your chance of being in the top 30 is assured. Three-way scrap coming out of turn number 10. One of the drivers in there is the 365 of Jori Schoens, battling away with the 356 of Poland's David Outlechner. And they've also got, I think, Wout Kirsten's not that far behind. It's Felipe Falk on the TB chassis in the 378. Wout Kirsten's in 8th. Vincent van Kerkhoffen and Milan Kok now round out the top 10. But Kloosman was just over 4.5 of a second ahead of Mitch Haynert, going on to lap number 4. Fastest lap of the race so far is set by the driver in third. Vic Stevens, who has got past Mitch Haynert for P2 in the meantime as they come through turn 9. Robbie Stordeur has got some pace in the 317 Sony kart. The driver with moving power. 6 minutes and 20 still to go. People watching from the grandstands, and also quite a lot of the mechanics on the gantry just on the exit of the final corner. So Kloosman leads by nearly 4.5 of a second as a new fastest lap has been posted by Vic Stevens, 55.758. Top 3 covered by just over 0.8. Robbie Stordeur is going to try and see if he can reel them in. And last time around was a lot quicker, over 3.5 of a second quicker than Mitch Haynert. Field making their way through down the Europolaan once again. So 33 out of the 35 drivers still competing. Gwen Blogsill rounding out the order. Scott Westhovens didn't have a great qualifying, actually broke, the kart had a technical issue and put the number 353 on the circuit and at a standstill. Kloosman still will complete lap 5, leading the way. Stevens is closing in. Gap now just under 0.3. Into turns 1 and 2. Wout Kirstens, in the meantime, has got past Ralph van der Pavert in the 368. Ralph now switching to SR Solutions with Scott Swart and the team. And had a nice little chat with him yesterday evening in the brasserie. And he said, yeah, you know, the speed's really, really good. I just need a bit more luck. Well, at the moment, Ralph, you're running in the top 10. His younger brother Mika, in the meantime, up 3 positions to 16th. Jake Rich is now 15th. Stevens closing on in on Kloosman for the race lead through turn 10. 5.5 minutes of the race completed. And will Vic Stevens possibly have the run across the line and get the slipstream. He's within that 0.2 of a second window, and Vic Stevens pulls the trigger up the inside of Julian Klausmann in the 373 to take the race lead on the beginning of lap 7 at turn 2. Mitch Haynett, however, is still keeping with them. Lawrence Herboz down in 8th has just put in the new fastest lap of the race, 55.206. Felipe Falk in the 378 completes the top 10. Benjamin Van Hees in the 340 completes the top 20. Rounding out the top 30 is Stain Peters in the 371. So still quite a lot that could happen. Lawrence Herboz up to 8th ahead of Ralph van der Pavert. Dylan Visser now down to 13th, having started 15th on the grid. Sebastian Koch has just got past. Vincent van Kerkhoffen has tumbled all the way down to 22nd, behind Dominic Scheppers in the 307, as now Mitch Haynett makes it back to being a 3-kart race at the sharp end of the field. But Robbie Stordeur is only 1.1 seconds behind in 4th. Then there's a bit of a gap, a further 1.4 seconds to Jori Schoens, who's battling away with the 356 of David Outlechner. Also in that mix, Wout Kirstens could be factored in. Lawrence Herboz, Ralph van der Pavert and Ollie Jonkers now round out the top 10. Jonkers now having got past Felipe Falk for that position. But still, they head into turn number 11. So, a very, very good way to start the season with everyone on slicks, everyone at full speed. And Klausmann trying to close that gap down to Stevens once again. It was 0.237 seconds after 8 laps. We're on lap number 9 with 2.25 minutes still to go, plus those additional laps. As the top 3 make their way through into the turn 7 chicane off of the Europolaan. And Ralph van der Pavert finds himself tumbling. He's just been passed by Ollie Jonkers for 9th. So the 316 making a little bit of amends for what happened yesterday. But a 3-place grid penalty for not obeying yellow flag conditions during time qualifying. For Vic Stevens holding on to that race lead, just over 0.2 between the 327 and the 373 of Klausmann. Klausmann takes a tighter apex through turn 2, now looking to carry the momentum through turns 3, 4. Now into the left-hander here at 5, before the hard braking zone into the Europolaan at turn 6. This could be the opportunity that Klausmann needs, but might not be wanting to put the opportunity there by slingshotting it up the inside and dive bombing through to the inside of turn 7 on Vic Stevens. Sometimes it's better off just waiting until you get to the end of the racing lap at turn 12. Through turn 10 they go once again. Lawrence Herboz up to 7th now ahead of Wout Kirstens, who's dropped to 8th. Kaz Boshuis is the biggest mover in this field. 14 places from 31st to 17th. A 10.5 separates the top 2. Klausmann might have possibly looked for a move, but decided to go against it. Sometimes discretion is the better part of valor. And at this stage of the race day, you've got to get through these heats. You've got to get yourself in an assured, comfortable position in the top 30. Every single one of these drivers in Senior Rotax here this weekend will compete in 2 of the 3 heats that are part of today's timetable. Herboz again on the move, has just got past Outlechner for 6th place. So the timer has expired. And Vic Stevens still fractionally holding on to that race lead. It's just over 0.22 of a second between the Belgian and the Dutchman as they go down the Europolaan once again out of turn 6 Sunshine really starting to bring its warmth and presence here at the circuit as they go through the chicane once again at turn 7 through into 8. Luca Prima, who was in 16th at the start, looks to have pulled off for retirement on lap number 9. We're on lap 12 out of 13. So last lap board is being shown to the 2 at the front end of the field. Vic Stevens holding on to just over a 0.2 of a second lead over Julian Klosman, who nearly thought of sticking the nose up the inside of the 327 and mounts the curbs aggressively through turn 3. Klosman now saw that last lap board and got the fire lit in the belly. Out of turn 6, that's exactly where Klosman needs to be, looks over the right shoulder. Stevens goes to the inside to defend here into turn 7 at the chicane and still narrowly hangs on to the race lead. But this could bring Mitch Haynett back into the fight towards the dying stages of the race. 3 more corners to go, and Klosman now parks it to the outside at turn 10. He's going to go round the outside, but runs off wide and hits the barriers. And manages to caught the left rear. And Mitch Haynett, in the meantime, closed right on up to the back bumper. And he's going side by side. This is going to be a run to the line. Who's going to win it? It's Stevens by 19 thousandths of a second. That attempt from Julian Klosman went to the outside line into turn 10, but just carried too much speed. And Stevens, well, that's a way to start your season, win by 19 thousandths after that one. Ahead of Mitch Haynett, Robbie Stordeur was not that far behind them, about 6 and a bit tenths, and rounds out the top 3. Lawrence Herbo's in 4th, Jori Schoens rounds out the top 5. Ahead of Wout Kirstens, Ollie Jonkers, Felipe Falk, David Altlechner, and Julian Klosman, who, quite frankly, got away with what happened. That could have been a lot worse, as the 373 rounds out the top 10. Ralph van der Pavert, Sebastian Koch, Dylan Visser, Ruben Verheyen, Mika van der Pavert, Martin Geiskens round out the top 16. Geiskens up from 30th to 16th at the flag. Benjamin Van Hees, Taicho Mink, Milan Koch and Vincent van Kerkhoven round out the top 20. With Kaz Boshuis, Miel Hendricks, Dominic Scheppers, Scott Westhovens, Martin Herrera, Bram Plomp, Stijn Peters, Dean Winters, Simon Pierre, Gwen Blogsdale and Jake Riches rounding out the 31 that finished. Dante Sima out on lap 10, Luca Prima lap 9, and on the opening lap, Wouter Polle and Devian Rost out as well.